Hello everyone, Sodor Railway Studios here, and welcome to my next film review. And today I'm going to be reviewing the Super Mario Brothers movie, released in 2023. So as of right now, yeah, this is the most recent film that I've reviewed, even though it's not really that recent anymore, but still. Um, so now I'm going to be perfectly honest. I never really played any Mario games before this film. The only time I did play anything close to enough to Mario was when I played Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games and its winter sequel on on the DS. So that was my only exposure to Mario before this film came out. I was aware of the film that came out in the 90s that nobody likes, but um other than that I never really had any exposure to Mario besides Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, which I guess is really more of a game with both Mario and Sonic, a Mario and Sonic game. So, but I did still have an interest in seeing this film. Um, and I had heard the iconic theme tune for it quite a few times. Um, Now I will be honest, when I first heard about the obviously there was that whole controversy when it was announced that Chris Pratt was going to voice Mario in this film, and um I know a lot of people didn't like that because they were used to Charles Martinet, but I'm going to be honest, I wasn't really that fussed about it, about Chris being Mario, because like I said, the only thing close to a Mario game I played when I was a kid was Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, so even though I was kind of used to Charles Martinet doing the voice, but I did think Chris Pratt was going to do a decent job at the very best. Um, at the very least, I mean. Um, and when I first saw the film, I thought he did a pretty good job. I thought, like, I like how he tried to put on a Brooklyn accent for him, which would make sense because this incarnation of Mario is said to come from Brooklyn, or at least an Italian American family. So I did think Chris Pratt did a decent job at the very least. Um, and I thought that I mean Charlie Day as Luigi, I thought that was really good casting, like almost perfect. I felt like it honestly staggered me how well Charlie Day fits Luigi for me. Um, which I think it also kind of makes sense because considering Chris Pratt and Charlie Day actually worked together on the Lego Movie, so this film was kind of like a reunion for them almost. Because obviously Chris Pratt did Emmett and Charlie Day was Benny the Spaceman. Um, But yeah, I still think, even though I did say I thought Chris Pratt did a decent job as Mario, my favorite role of his is still Emmett, to be perfectly honest. Because I feel like he is perfect for that character. He was really perfect for Emmett, honestly. Like I can't picture anyone else doing Emmett. Um, because he actually got to create the voice of Emmett, but whereas with Mario, he's had previous voice actors who've played him. Also, I really like how I also love the brotherly bond between Mario and Luigi in this film, even though they don't really get that much screen time together because they end up being separated and Luigi ends up getting captured. But I do really like how because there's a scene in the beginning after the commercial scene where they do have the Italian accents that they're known for. And there's a scene after that commercial where um I think what's his name? Spike. That's it. Spike is making fun of Luigi, and Mario stands up to Spike for Luigi. Like that shows how much he cares for his brother, and he goes through a lot to try and rescue Luigi when he ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom. Like he goes through quite a lot, like a lot of really bad injuries, particularly when he's doing that obstacle course when he's being trained by Peach. Um, Speaking of Peach, I actually really like what they did with her in this film. Like, I know in most Mario games, even though I've not played any, I do know that Peach is stereotypically portrayed as the damsel in distress type character. Like, she's always getting kidnapped by Bowser and whatnot. Um, but in this film, I like how they've made her almost like a fearless warrior kind of character. Like, it's almost kind of reminds me of what they did with Bo Peep in Toy Story 4. Almost. Because, like, even though I'm not really a fan of Toy Story 4, I do like what they did with Bo Peep in that film. And Peach's characterization here reminds me of Bo Peep in that film. And also, I do think it makes much more sense for Mario to go and rescue Luigi instead of Peach. Considering, he's his brother and all, whereas Peach is just a random. Well, whereas Peach is someone he's never met before in his life. So, and I thought that Anya Taylor-Joy was really good as Peach as well. Like, I could tell how much she enjoyed playing the role. And I do hope she gets to be more animated characters in the future, because I know she was also in uh the Playmobil movie, but I can't remember the name of the character she played, but she was the main character in the Playmobil movie. Um, and of course there's Jack Black as Bowser, which I know a lot of people were really excited for. Um, I'm gonna be honest, when I first found out that Jack Black was gonna be Bowser, I was a little bit skeptical because I knew Jack Black mainly for playing like silly and goofy comedic characters, like for example Po in the Kung Fu Panda films. So I didn't really know what to think of the fact that he was going to be playing a villain, but I was sure he was still going to do a good job because I mean it's Jack Black, so um. But when I first heard him in the trailer, in the first trailer, I was blown away. But I was even more blown away by his performance in the actual film when I went to go and see it. And and of course there's the iconic Peaches song which he sings. And uh fun fact, when that song when me and my mom left the cinema after watching the film, she said that the Peaches song actually reminded her of a sketch from A Bit of Fry and Laurie, which is a comedy sketch show on the BBC, where Hugh Laurie is playing the piano like Bowser was, and the only word in his song is America, so that he makes an entire song out of that one word. Um, and I'm not gonna lie, I can really see the similarities. If you haven't seen that sketch, I would highly recommend, like, check it out. It's Hugh Laurie's Song for America, I think it's called, on YouTube. Just watch that sketch if you want to. It's so, 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 so funny. Um, and also, I quite like what they did with Bowser in this film. He is, even though I wouldn't say he's an original villain per se, because he is a bit cliche in terms of how he's portrayed in the games, but I do like what they did with him in this film. But I do think most of his character in this film is definitely carried by Jack Black, but I did get quite a few laughs out of him in this film, particularly during Peaches. Um, and also, I mean, then there's I mean, Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, like I think I'm one of the few people that actually like that casting. I don't know how many people did like that casting, but I thought it was perfect. Um, and funnily enough, this is also the second time Jack Black, as far as I know, it's the second time that Jack Black and Seth Rogen worked together in a film, because obviously they worked together in the Kung Fu Panda film. So it was a reunion for two pairs of actors that have been in another previously been in another film together, kind of. Um, and I quite liked Donkey Kong's rivalry with Mario in this film, Donkey Kong is a even if Donkey Kong is a bit of an unnecessary jerk for most of the film. But you can kind of see that. You can kind of see where he's coming from because he just wants his dad's attention, really, and Mario wanted his dad to be proud of him as well. And Keegan Michael Key, I thought, did a really good job as Toad as well. Like, I wasn't expecting him of all people to get cast as Toad, but then I remembered the fact that he was the voice of Murray in the Hotel Transylvania sequels, because CeeLo Green, I don't think, was able to do it. I can't remember the reason why they got him to do it, and they got him to replace CeeLo Green, but I do know that something happened with CeeLo Green that meant he couldn't do it. Um, I think that Keegan Michael Key is better in as Toad than Murray. I didn't hate him as Murray, but he was a little bit screechy at times. I mean, he can be a bit screechy as Toad as well, but I think I'd say it's slightly easier on the ears, to be honest. And I also found Toad to be really funny in this film as well. Like I laughed at quite a lot of the jokes with him in this film, especially when they were building all the carts and he showed up in a cart with really big wheels. Like that was just hilarious. Um, but one thing that really shocked me about the film, it's not the fact that Charles Martinet made a cameo in this film as Mario's dad, but I did really like that Easter egg. Um, but it's the fact that Kamek, who's Bowser's sidekick, um, he's voiced by Kevin Michael Richardson. And I remember being really shocked when I found that out because I know Kevin Michael Richardson mostly plays characters with really deep voices because he's got a deep voice anyway, so it would make sense. Um, but I'm I did think he did a good job because I barely recognized him as Kamek. So if that happened, then he should have done a good job if that was the case. And he did. I'd say he did. Um, I'd say it's almost as good as when he did the voice of Bulkhead in Transformers Prime. And speaking of Transformers Prime, the Brian Tyler, who did the music for that show, he did the music for this film as well. So that's two things that Kevin Michael Richardson has done voices in that Brian Tyler has done the music for. And I do think Brian Tyler, I thought, did a decent job with the score for the film. Like, I love how he actually incorporated some of the iconic Mario themes in there as well, but as well as creating his own score at the same time, like creating his own original music. Um, and I remember thinking, because obviously this film is obviously by Illumination. I know a lot of people don't like Illumination, but I personally never had an issue with them, and especially considering they've produced films like this, along with some of their other popular films, like the obviously the Despicable Me films and The Secret Life of Pets and Migration as well. That was fairly recently. So yeah. So to conclude this review, because I can't really think of anything else to say. I really enjoyed the Super Mario Brothers movie. I wouldn't quite say it's my favorite Illumination film. I think my favorite Illumination film is probably Despicable Me 2. But I definitely think this is probably my second favorite Illumination film because I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would actually, especially considering I didn't really know that much about Mario beforehand, apart from obviously playing Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games, and obviously I mentioned at the beginning of the review I had heard of the one that came out in the 90s that nobody liked. Um, so I think I'm probably gonna give this film 8.5 or maybe even a 9 out of 10 actually, because I did really enjoy the film. Um, but even I have to admit it's not perfect. It's far from perfect. Then again, not everything has to be perfect, so I can't really expect it to be. Uh, so let me know what you guys thought of this review in the comments, and thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you all have a fantastic day.